Hello guys, it's Shama700 here. Today we're doing another Bakugan BakuTech Retrospect episode. This is episode 22 on Gif Jinryu. Gif Jinryu first released as PROM01, the first promotional Bakugan, and there were three ways to get it. The first was mailing in proof of purchase of BTD01 or BTD02, along with the red Baku Throne card. The second was to mail in just the red Baku Throne card, both online stickers on it. And the third was to take the white Baku Throne card to a participating store, again with online stickers on it. Unfortunately though, doing one of these three requirements did not guarantee you a Gif Jinryu. It just put you in a lottery for one. Each method had 1,000 winners, meaning that only 3,000 of these were actually given out. Anyway, moving on from that, it is an Aquas Bakugan. It has 600 Gs, and its campaign began in March of 2012, with the winners receiving theirs in July of 2012. Looking at its ball form, it is molded in blue plastic, has a lot of silver and gold detailing on it, silver for the cross pieces as well. Looks pretty good. Opening it up. Opens up like that and does have some very annoying manual parts. You have these feet on the back here which do kind of fold out. Pretty awkward. Not the worst, but not enjoyable. But then the worst manual parts are these spikes here, which are extremely awkward to fold out. There we go. So I'll probably end up cutting like 10 to 15 seconds of that out. They are very awkward to open, never fun to do. Bit worse when there's a camera in front of me, but still very, very awkward nonetheless. Anyway, taking a look at its open form here, it does look very, very nice. Very large Bakugan, a lot of longer pieces on it. Wish there was a bit less bulk down here, but for the most part, it's a really good looking Bakugan. Now as for the physical design, it does have these two cross pieces on the arms, and beyond that, the sort of gimmick is noted as long arm, which is kind of weird because the arms aren't like that long, but I guess the entire Bakugan is kind of long and large, so close enough. I will say though, despite being as large as it is kind of a fraud, and the size and length of this thing doesn't work particularly well. I mean, just having two cross pieces and no high tension springs does mean that this thing is kind of just mid for attack, with the size being the main draw here. Likely for defense or occupancy, but in a couple minutes here when we get to the competitive section, I'll talk about why this thing isn't great. And no, unfortunately, the entire size idea here doesn't work too well. Let's move on to how to close this thing, and this thing is very, very annoying to close. So I'll start with the manual parts, which are also pretty unfun to deal with. These feet are fine, but again, these spikes are just not good at all. It's easier to close them than it is open them, but they get caught very, very easily on just about anything. It's not great. Then the other one, again, we'll have to probably cut out some footage of getting these closed. I guess I got that one, but still. Like I said, these are a massive, massive pain. And while they do look cool when fully opened, they were just not designed well at all. Anyway, closing the rest of this thing is a bit of a pain as well, unfortunately. The easiest way I find is to start with the head. So you have the neck and this part. You really have to leave the head kind of just alone as it goes in. Don't force it down. If you do that, the neck should close up without too much trouble. Put this tail part in. That comes down. These can kind of do whatever they want. Just kind of hold them down when you go with the arm here. Then the hands have to go in this little slot here where the head is. And that'll close up. Just do the same thing to the side real quick. Then with that, these flaps just kind of close, and they aren't the best to close. Like, you can kind of hear the click there, but unfortunately that is just the easiest way to close it. Those flaps tend to get stuck on the arms if you do those first. So yeah, this thing just really isn't the most fun to deal with, whether it's opening or closing it. Moving on to the anime, Gif Jinryu is owned by Tatsuma. Tatsuma is part of the main group in the anime, meaning that Gif Jinryu is pretty prevalent. Also, just Gif Jinryu as a Bakugan is quite important in the anime, making this a pretty noteworthy Bakugan for collection. Now let's talk about the variants. First up we have BTC63, which has either 660 or 680 Gs. This This was effectively just a slightly recolored re-release of Gif Jinryu to make it more accessible. Like I said, it was a promotional Bakugan, decently hard to get, so it is good that there is a more accessible version of it. The Blackbuster version released in PTT07, the Champion deck, it has 640Gs, and also uses metal board Mises cross parts. The pink version released via a lottery and has an unknown G power. This version also coming with metal cross pieces, the only known way to get to metal Gif Jinryu cross pieces. And then the red version also released via a lottery and has an unknown G power. And finally, let's talk about competitive. Gif Jinryu looks like it'd be pretty solid for the time with occupancy and defense, and to be fair, on release it was pretty decent, though not better than things like Acro-Gizzard, Warmahesis, Bone Skull, Scablionicon. So despite the rarity, it doesn't really move the needle, which is probably for the best, honestly. The main issue with Gif Jinryu comes in its height. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of bulk underneath here, meaning that everything that flares out and would be good for occupancy and defense doesn't help all too much when it is this high off the card. It doesn't really defend well at all. It's very easy for Bakugan to just slot in underneath it or just push these parts back. So really the base of the Bakugan and maybe some of the closer parts in here can block a little bit, but if you're hitting like this part or in front, it's just not gonna block a whole lot. So not only was it kind of mid on release, there were a lot of other occupancy defense Bakugan that would come out later, and would just make this thing even worse. It's not a terrible Bakugan, but overall, it's nothing special, and by my metrics ranks around mid-C tier. So that's Gif Jinryu. It's a decently rare Bakugan since it was a promotional Bakugan. Again, should only be about 3,000 of these. And yeah, unfortunately, it isn't very good, and it's also just annoying to deal with. That said, if you're just putting this on a shelf, it does look really nice, so it might be worthwhile. Anyway, that's really all for the episode. I think it was a pretty interesting one because of how unique this thing was with its release, but anyway, next episode will be on Rise Dragon, so until then, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.